Hello YouTube, I'm back doing a DVD review. It's been about 3 weeks now. Yeah, sorry. But I do have a good excuse. Well, of course I could be lying, but no, I'm not lying. Basically, school has took over my life for the past couple of weeks doing coursework. You know, it's quite stressful at the end of a sort of school year. Because I'm doing like science coursework, drama sort of assessments and what have you. So that's basically it, and I did film this review on Saturday, but I wasn't happy with it, so that went out and deleted it. Yeah, so I've got to try and make this video as short as possible, but it is 3 stories and I've got to express my opinion on it, so I'm going to quickly get on with it. This video is requested by Harry Williams, who has now changed his username to 24816 Harry Williams 96, who is celebrating his 100th video, so congratulations to you. Big achievement, getting 100 videos, so yeah, congratulations, and enjoy the celebration. Yay. Okay, so if we look at the sort of box artwork, which, if I'm right in saying, I think this was the first actual DVD box that I got. Quite a box set to start with, really. Yeah, so we've got the 80 sort of Starfield. We've got Tom Baker on the left and Peter Davison on the right. And we've got the Master in the middle. And we've got this weird sort of vortexy thing there, which I think is really cool. We've got this nice silver sort of writing, New Beginnings, 3-disc set. The stories what are in this: Keeper of Traken, Logopolis and Castrovalva. So if I just spin the box set over that, you can get the sort of image what they look like when they're together. Yeah, the box is pretty battered. Yes. So if we start off with the Keeper of Traken, which I find, well, this story, in my opinion, sometimes I like it, sometimes I sort of hate it. It's one of those stories I can watch occasionally and just go, oh, that's quite a good story. Other times I'm like, no, I'm not a fan of it. Yeah. So if we look at the actual cover, we've got this. What I like about the last 2 Tom Baker stories DVD artwork is you've got this quite prominent picture of Tom Baker. I think this is a story you find out that he is sort of going to sort of change, and Logopolis really plays with the idea that Tom Baker is going to sort of bow out of the show. Yeah, so if we look, we've got Tom Baker, the Malka, and we've got the sort of Elder of Traken. Pink Tom Baker banner, very exotic. Not really exotic, really. Just some nice pictures there. Now this is the first story to feature Anthony Ainley. He plays a double role in this story as Nissa's father. Oh, sorry, that old chap, he's not an elder, he's the keeper, whose face in like this sort of weird chair. It's an interesting story. So if we look inside the actual DVD case, oh, sorry, this is probably go wrong. So we just have Tom Baker basically in the sort of garden place where the Malka is. Then we just got the Malka there, which I think is a really clever idea, and I'll get onto him in a minute. I'm just going to quickly go through the booklet. Chapter points, how lovely. Special features are being nice to each other, looking at the making of Keeper of Traken, Return of the Master. Now this is the only time Geoffrey Beevers, the person who married Caroline John, who played the Master and now does the Master in the Big Finish audios. So it's nice that his Master gets to be a bit more developed, and I do quite like his sort of portrayal as the Master. We've got Sarah Sutton on Swap Shop, music only option, Trails and Continuity announcement, Doctor Annual 1982, Radio Times Billings, BBC Enterprise lecture, production subtitles and photo gallery. Yes, if I just quickly go through my thoughts on the story. I find this story quite slowing, because I'm on the sort of verge where it's quite a I'm gonna give it a 5 really, 5 out of 10. I'm not a big fan of it. I like the Malka, but the TARDIS can sort of shoot stuff. Well, the Master sort of made it, and I like when the Doctor confronts the Master. And I just think that's a brilliant scene with the Master and the Doctor, and this story introduces Nyssa. So this is sort of a start of the crowded TARDIS. Logopolis really is, because it introduces Tegan and Nyssa to the TARDIS, so it's sort of an introduction to Nyssa, and is saying hello to a Master again, he is the main villain in all 3 stories, which reminds me quite a lot of season 8 with Jon Pertwee, because he was in every story with that, and I mean, they didn't really hide it very well, but yeah. This introduces that the Time Lords can sort of body snatch just to keep them lingering on a bit more. Keeper of Traken, it's an okay story, but I wouldn't really recommend it. But you have to watch this story to follow on into Logopolis. Okay, so Logopolis, Tom Baker's final story of his 7 sort of years as the Doctor. So I've always sort of liked this cover. When I was a kid, I always remember this and just picking it out and just looking at it. So we've got the Varos project beaming out probably to Logopolis. We've got the Logopolis sort of landscapes that was beaming to Earth. We've got the Anthony Ainley. We've got Tom Baker looking in the distance, probably when he was at the bay looking at the Watcher. And we've got the Watcher himself, which I find is really creepy. This is a 12, probably because of the Master shrinking people. Or it could be for Tegan's aunt, which is pretty terrifying. We've got a purple Tom Baker banner. This story is by Christopher H. Bidme. I think I pronounced that right, or probably wrong anyway. Now, Christopher Doctor is sort of being mocked for having not very much science references, even though it's classed as a science fiction programme. So Christopher was introduced to add some sort of science elements, such as jettisoning some of the TARDIS rooms, just to make it go sort of faster and stop it. So we've got a picture of Tom Baker there. And then we have the special features, which is nationwide Tom Baker interview with Peter Davison as well. Pepper at Mill, Peter Davison interviewed with a long-running BBC lunchtime show. BBC News, music option only, continuity announcement, Doctor Who Annual 1982, Radio Times billing, BBC Enterprise lecture, and production subtitles and photo gallery. And a new body at last that looks at why Tom Baker sort of left, because he sort of got more crotchety towards the end of his time, whether because it was John Nathan Turner sort of messing him around. Okay, so Logopolis I think is my favourite story in the box set. I think it has some really good science ideas. It's a bit like Turn Left, but the sort of galaxies are suddenly disappearing. We have an old sort of tradition, what wasn't seen until last seen with Jon Pertwee, when the Master and the Doctor had to cooperate. That's one of the cliffhangers, I think, in part 3, when they shake hands, and that's quite strong, because something's going to go wrong. I find this a really good story. The Watcher is a brilliant idea. You can just when I first saw it, I was like, hang on, there's just a weird white person just staring at the Doctor, and the Doctor's like, oh, he's freaked out by it. Yeah, I think this is the first story to introduce the Cloisterbell and Tegan, the gobby Australian flight stewardess. So I do find this a interesting story. The regeneration is done very well. basically, I think the Watcher is trying to suggest that he is the Fifth Doctor, even though Peter Davison didn't play the Watcher. It was I think it was a dancer who played him. I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, the regeneration's done quite well. Tom Baker's final line, I think that's quite iconic. It's the end, but the moment has been prepared for. Which I think is quite a striking, good. Well, it's a really good last line. And I like how Tom Baker keeps his sort of smile at the end, so he keeps that sort of big teeth and curls sort of Doctor going right until the end, like Troughton did with the War Games, the sort of cosmic hobo. Yeah, very good story. Regeneration done rather well. I've got to say, the music in Castrovalva and Logopolis is really snazzy, brilliant music. Yes, the music is recommended. Okay, so we look at the first Peter Davison story, Castrovalva. Yeah, so if we look at the cover, we've got Peter Davison, the shaman, and some Castrovalva buildings. And we've got Antonioni disguised. Sorry, that's a spoiler. We've got a peach banner. Yeah, I'm not really going to have time to go through the special features, or else this video will be too long. But I'll just go through the ones what. It's got the makings and some swap shop things on there. Well, I'll just turn it around on the back so you guys can probably pause and have a look what it's got. Okay, so this story starts off really interesting, how they left Logopolis. Now this is quite interesting, but they didn't film, because normally in a classic series they film chronologically, like say if this was in the filming block, they would have filmed this first and then Four to Doomsday, but they didn't. They filmed Four to Doomsday, Visitations, and then Castrovalva, because Peter Davison had such a hard time trying to develop a Doctor, which is understandable because you're starting off from the, well, people call it the most iconic classic Doctor, Tom Baker. Yeah, so Peter Davison, he goes through a bit of trouble with his regeneration. He goes through all the incarnations because his regeneration is failing. He's going backwards in his timeline, so he's going from William Hartnell, Troughton, Pertwee. I'm not sure if Tom Baker Doctor was sort of in that. Not sure. And I first saw this when I was about 9, I think. I was sort of mad at Peter Davison for destroying Tom Baker's scarf. I was like, you can't do that to his scarf. The story is really good for the TARDIS, so if you're a big fan of the TARDIS, you know, it's great just to watch the first 2 episodes, just to see some new sort of zones of the TARDIS, like the Zero Room, and it gets turned into a Zero cabinet, really. Yeah, and we find out the Doctor can levitate in it. Yeah, Peter Davison's, I think he sort of did establish a role, but I do think he's a bit iffy. You know, it's understandable, and you want to make a good first impression, and I think he does. Yeah, I like the whole I think it's based on a painting, this story, because it's sort of like, I don't know what the artist is called, but it's got like these weird sort of stairways, and it's like all 3-dimensional. Well, it looks like it, but it's not. Not exactly sure, really, but it is. Reminds me of that. Yeah, the setting's good. Yeah, Castrovalva, it's a good story. I do sort of like it. Yeah, it's better than Keeper of Traken. So overall, I would recommend this for any sort of Doctor Who fan, especially because it's the 50th anniversary. You know, you want to see the first of that Doctor story and the last of that Doctor. I suppose you could buy the Regeneration box set just to see the last Tom Baker story, but then you're missing out on Logopolis and, no, sorry, Castrovalva and the Keeper of Traken. Okay, so what do I think of this story overall? Well, this box set overall, I think it's a good box set. You've got 2 good stories, 2 strong stories, and Keeper of Traken is a bit of a weird one for me. It's a Marmite story. Sometimes I love it, sometimes I hate it. But after that, yeah, I do recommend this box set. Antonioni sort of does establish the Master, but I do think he is sort of trying hard to copy Roger Delgado's Master. But anyway, yeah, my next review will be of Inferno, the special edition, which should be fun. Yeah, sorry about the length of the video, so I'll have to cut the intro. So yeah, thank you for watching and goodbye.